What's up, y'all? It's your boy TheTalkWithJ back with another video, and today is another special video because I'll be introducing you to one of my close personal friends who is a former Marine, and he goes by the name of Peter Ramirez. So Peter, I would like you to give the audience a quick introduction of who you are before we get too deep into it.
Thank you, Jonathan. First of all, it's a privilege to be in your posting and your interview today. Well, my name is Gunnery Sergeant Peter Ramirez, retired U.S. Marine. I have a 36-year career, which included 21 years active duty and then 15 years as a Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps Cadets Naval Instructor.
Okay, now that you've introduced yourself, would you tell me how you got involved in the military? Like, what started you interested in wanting to join the Marines or Army?
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, it all started, believe it or not, when I was 7 years old. I joined a uniform program which was called the Cub Scouts with the Boy Scouts of America. At the age of 13, I joined the Boy Scouts of America, and I was there all the way to become a first-class scout. And then after that, when I registered in Baruch College in New York City, they had a Boy Scouts of America program there, which was called the Explorers. These are all uniform programs that trained you in outdoors survival type of program. So in being in uniform and being trained in the great outdoors, it led me to be a U.S. Marine.
Okay, and for those that are unfamiliar with the enrollment process, can you kind of walk us through
Sure.
that process?
I can do that because I was also trained to be a Marine recruiter, so I can show you how they do things. First of all, in order to be a Marine, you have to be within the age group of 17 years old to 35, and you would need a high school diploma or anything equivalent. If you have a college degree, you can become a Marine officer, and but it's called an enlistment program, and it will be based on what you qualified in a test which was called the ASVAB test, and that will determine what will be best profession for you while you in your career. You see? So when people come in to see a recruiter, the recruiter kind of build a bridge between what the applicant wants to do to ultimately succeed in his life and then his Marine Corps enlistment, how it can help. So the Marines offer you benefits such as vocational training and college funds to be able to go to your college and for free.
That's cool. Now, after you enlisted in the Marines, give us two positives and two negatives of your time within the Marines.
Okay, I could do that. I can always talk about positive stuff from the Marine Corps. The negative stuff is hard, but might as well be direct, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the most positive thing that I got out of being in the Marine Corps, it's my honor to serve this great country and make sure that I did it honorably in my father's and my forefathers' name, the Ramirez generation. And another thing that I liked about the Marine Corps is the respect that you get because after I retired from the Marines, I was able to work with the board. I have not good opportunity to work with the Board of Education, and also receive a pension from the Board of Education. And so the culmination of my life has to do with education and what a person can learn. You can learn a lot in the Marine Corps. You can also go to college and learn whatever it is that you want. But it's only if you use the benefits and you have commitment and consistency in what it is that you want to do to succeed in life, you can be able to do whatever it is that you want. Because Marines, there's no such thing as failure, and there's no such thing as quitting. It's always getting better and moving ahead.
Now, this is a bit of a two-parter, but you are a disabled veteran, correct?
Yes, I am.
So, the second part is, what has life been like being a disabled veteran from a day-to-day aspect?
Yes. Well, I'm a disabled veteran, and I went to Operation Desert Storm, and based on the culmination of my career and whatever physical challenges that I have, is how I was accepted as a disabled veteran. Living as a disabled veteran is very difficult. I'm married, and I'm fortunate to have been married to my wife, Shelley, who's a retired nurse. That helps a lot. But from my experience as a retired veteran, you experience post-traumatic stress disorder. You also experience negative social behavior, where you can't get along with a whole lot of people. And then there's certain pains that you have, and maybe illnesses and diseases that you got from the wars that the Veterans Administration helps you out with, and you have to be very, very adamant about your health. Your health is going to be very important as a veteran, because from my experience seeing the other veterans, they don't know a whole lot about their health, and they make things worse, especially when they gain weight and they have diabetes and heart disease and all these things that they could have prevented. That complicates a whole lot of things. It's very difficult to be a disabled veteran. I've seen them here in New York City, homeless, alcoholics, schizophrenics. And so I take pride in just being a Marine, honor, courage, and commitment. And I take good care of myself. Everything that the Marines taught me, I do. So I can be healthy, so I can be strong and meet my challenges. As I continue to get older, I don't want to be a burden to a whole lot of people. So the Marine Corps training taught me how to be very disciplined.
Okay, and now my next question is, again, a bit of a two-parter. Do you believe in God? And if you do, how did you come to believe in God? And how did you come to know of God and believe in God, basically?
Okay. That right there is a long story, but I'm going to make it short. It started when I was a child, of course, from my mother and father used to take us to Sunday church. And we started out with a Protestant church life. My mother was the Sunday school teacher, and she also cooked in the kitchen and stuff like that. My father had the Boy Scout troop within the church. The church sponsored our Boy Scout troop. And so I've always believed in God. And I believe that God has always loved me and had faith in me. From even when I was a child, I grew up in Harlem, New York City, Upper Manhattan. It was during the 1960s and 70s, it was a very racial environment and sometimes violent. So I learned that God was with me in all my challenges. And being in the Scouts, they taught you to have faith in God and in your training. So throughout all my challenges, my first challenge that I really felt God's presence was when I almost got hit by a car at 6 years old. And the car didn't hit me, but I still flew because it stopped right before it hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the hospital there for a while. Other times when I felt God was leading was in one time when a lady got her purse snatched. And something inside told me, help this lady. I stuck my foot out on the guy running with the purse, and he fell down, and I snatched the purse and I gave it back to the lady, and I really felt good about that moment, knowing that God was with me, because I could have got hurt. I didn't even know who this thief was, but God was with me and he protected me. So I continued to have faith all the way to the age of 21 when I climbed Mount Washington, which is one of the highest peaks in the northeastern region. You have to believe in God because of the challenges you have climbing a mountain, the weather and all that stuff, and the wild animals and the lack of food and all this stuff. And so when I joined the Marine Corps, I used to pray, and in the boot camp, it was very tough boot camp. And I used to pray to God and ask God, why am I here? What made me do this? And so I joined the Marine Corps. I experienced a whole lot of racial tension and aggravation and violence. But God was with me and brought me people within that area. Anywhere you go, Jonathan, no matter what part of the world you are, you're going to run into Christians. Mm-hmm. And they're going to come to you, and they're going to be the people mm-hmm. that God put there to help you. So I had people helping me because, as a Hispanic in a racial environment, it was very tough to move ahead if I didn't meet other people who are African American or Hispanic. So I think the biggest thing that made me really believe in God, and I think that God put me in this place, was during the war. I was a nobody. I was just a staff sergeant, but I so happened to have been in the meeting with all the commanding officers the day before the war started with the general. And his question was, anybody have any last questions? All the commanders, who were all colonels predominantly, they didn't say nothing. But I was the staff sergeant. I was the only enlisted in there. And I raised my hand. And I said, hey, I have something to say. And the general said, oh my God, Ramirez, what is it? Because, I'm not supposed to be speaking in that meeting. And I said, these people we're fighting, they pray 5 times a day or more. Can we just pray tonight? Just before. And I think that was my big moment nobody knows about. From a nobody like me, that God put me there to remind them, let's go pray to God before we go to this war. And the general ordered all the commanding officers to pray. So that was my experience as a Christian. That's how I became a Christian. And I was pretty much a Christian all my life until 5 years ago, when my wife Shelley brought me to the Adventist faith. And I learned the truth about being a Christian, about how Jesus is coming back one day for us, and how we have to be prepared. One of the ways to be prepared is to keep the Sabbath holy. A lot of people don't know about that, Jonathan. I have a next door neighbor who say he was a Christian. This guy was like 89 years old. He had all kinds of operations. He had heart operation. He was living on one kidney. But this guy was the most active guy within the community and kept everything nice and clean and everything. I asked him, do you believe in God? And he says, yeah. I said, hey, let me invite you to my church. I wanted to invite him to bring him to Agape. And he says to me, what's your religion? I said, I'm a Christian. It's called Seventh-day Adventist. And he says, that's not a religion. He straight up told me Seventh-day Adventist wasn't a religion. And I said, well, what's your religion? He says, I'm a Christian. I said, well, do you know your commandments? And he says, yeah, I know my commandments. I said, what's the fourth commandment? He didn't even know. The fourth commandment is keep the Sabbath holy. It's a commandment from God, and it's something that we have to do. So I learned to love the Seventh-day Adventist way of being a Christian. So my wife predominantly is the one that brought me to the Adventist Christianity.
Okay. My final question is, what is your message to those disabled and young people that want to serve the country and want to join the Marines, and also those disabled that feel alone and feel like nobody's around them? What's your closing message to them?
My closing message will have to be that if you know God, and you know that with one word, He created everything in this world, everything, okay? He is the God of all new creations. And my advice is that anything new you're going to do in your life, whether it is to go to the Marine Corps or to seek a career somewhere else, to start a new project, to write a book, anything that you want to do, including leaving out your door in the mornings when you leave to go to work, keep God first, because He is the God of new creations, and we have to think of Him as first.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and make sure you like and subscribe. And I want to thank Brother Peter for coming on again. And if you guys want a part 2, let us know in the comments. I'll invite him back. Make sure you like and subscribe. Oh, and just a reminder, we recently made merch. So if you want, leave comments down below and we'll send them to you. Make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.
Semper Fi.